So here's the poop, the inside scoop. Back whenever I was 4.5 years old, CIA secret police, they screwed up really big. So they used the National Endowment for Democracy. When that failed, they chose to use external sources. One of those external sources was literally drugging and abducting one Mr. Elon Musk when he was 12.5 years old with his mother and his father, who was already internally connected because of USAID. They used him to produce a sort of come to Jesus moment. It's the same thing that Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, pretty much every other secularist in Silicon Valley, or atheist, you might say the spiritual successors to the Third Reich, if you will, or to Mussolini's fascist party, because they're all just Democrats anyways. Democratic socialists, they're all the same thing. They're all Italian fascists. But anyways, National Endowment for Democracy with USAID, at behest of the CIA secret police, engaged in brutal sexual abuse of me and my family with the intent of suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. That they had broken into my mother and father's house, terrorized us by drugging us up and abusing us under the presumption that we were somehow Russian spies. This is how delusional the CIA has been for decades. They still think like this. Many of them do. CIA secret police is not to be trusted. If there's an atheist, agnostic, humanist, secularist, pagan, Satanist, or Roman Catholic, Mormon, Jehovah's Witness within the CIA secret police, they are not to be trusted. They are an eternal threat. They are a domestic threat which we need to protect ourselves from by making sure that they are not allowed access to the methodologies which are used within the National Endowment for Democracy, USAID, and so on and so forth. National Endowment for Democracy then brokered a deal with Elon Musk to sell a very basic video game that him and a few other kids, which they had drugged up, I might add, while under the influence of microdoses of LSD and amphetamines, forced them like slaves, drugged up child slaves, to produce a video game which was then sold for $500 by Elon Musk. Then that money was offered to me as a child as an I'm sorry for what we did. Sorry, but what they say is it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. I rejected that. Elon Musk then took that money and began to start investing it in stocks that I picked. It was Microsoft, Oracle, and there were two others out there. That's how Elon Musk really made his money. He made his money because the CIA secret police, with the help of the National Endowment for Democracy, while drugging him and several other children up, forced them to make a game so that they could pay me money. They made them drug slaves, literal child drug slaves. And then when that failed, they tried to bribe my mom and dad with money. And then when my mom and dad chose to save the money as a trust fund or an inheritance for me, the National Endowment for Democracy, under Joe Biden's direct governance, I might add, and whoever the fuck he hired for NED, came in and tried to blackmail and extort that money which was set aside for me for whenever I got older. Then on top of that, when that failed and that money dried up, the National Endowment for Democracy intentionally drugged, abducted multiple of my nieces with the intent to threaten to kill them if I didn't comply. Now, what happened after that, I do not know. What I can say is that they then drugged up and abused multiple other people, and in that process, when that failed, they then drugged themselves up so that they would have legal immunity from sexually abusing me, drugging me up, extorting me, smearing feces and cum on my face. They're all a bunch of subhuman degenerates. As far as I'm concerned, everyone in the CIA secret police, the National Endowment for Democracy, USAID, USID, and USIP are all violent warmongers who desire to tear friendships and families apart. Do you want to know why there's such an increase in children with gender euphoria? It is explicitly because the National Endowment for Democracy, USAID, USIP, and USID, under direct guidance of Joe Biden and the Department of Education and the National Institute for Health, specifically broke into millions of Americans' homes to drug them up and brainwash their children. They literally sideloaded, you have gender euphoria. They gaslit, brainwashed, and abused children into gender euphoria. It does not exist on its own. It is completely manufactured from the very beginning as a command and control operation to spite Christians explicitly, because they hate Christians, they hate healthy people. They're all evil human beings. And do you know who was put in charge of this? Jimmy, Mr. the Beast himself, out here in the Midwest. And then whenever he got caught with his pants down, diddling kids, they told him, you need to stay away from these people. Well, I'm sorry, but a restraining order, which I have, says otherwise. He was compelled to go to Africa to build wells to help people as punishment, not out of the generosity of his heart. He hates doing these things. All he wants to do is make money off of poor people by exploiting them. I'm telling you, Joe Biden, under direction of Kamala Harris, authorized these activities on the American population, and whenever they knew that might fail, they then switched to hate Donald Trump. Literally sideloaded communist hate speech into Americans so that they would begin to hate Jews, hate Christians, and hate Donald Trump and everything that the Constitution stood for.